A man without honor.
Kingslayer.
Kingslayer!
Kingslayer.
Kingslayer. What a king he was.
The guy who shoved a child out of a window and didn't lose a wink of sleep. Arrogant, smug, incestuous. You were supposed to hate him. And you did. But here's the thing. They got us. Because over time, Jaime wasn't just a villain. He was complicated, messed up, human. He lost everything. His hand, his pride, his identity. And instead of becoming worse, he started trying to be better. Not because someone told him to, but because deep down, he knew he'd been living a lie. And for a while, he was incredible to watch. He stood up to his toxic-ass family. He protected the innocent. He fought for the living. He opened up, changed, grew. He earned our respect, our empathy, hell, even our love. And then, in the final few episodes, they trashed it all. They hit rewind on his arc, deleted every ounce of growth and dumped his character like a broken sword. Let's not sugarcoat it. He strutted around like he owned Westeros, flipping his hair, flashing that golden armor, and acting like everyone else was beneath him, because in his world they were. He was banging his sister in secret, threatening people in public, and oh yeah, pushed a 10-year-old out of a window just to keep his dirty secrets quiet. This man stabbed his own king in the back. That's how he earned the name Kingslayer, and for years everyone spat on him for it, called him a traitor, a coward, and the worst part? He never even defended himself. He just sat in that reputation like it didn't matter, like he deserved it. He was untouchable, entitled, a Lannister golden boy who could kill, lie, cheat, and walk away clean. And the show wanted you to hate him. They built him to be loathed. He earned that hatred. But the genius was they didn't leave him there. They broke him. Dragged through the dirt, mocked, humiliated, chained up like a dog. But it's when he loses his sword hand, the very thing that defined him, that the real shift happens. Think about that. Jaime Lannister, the guy who built his entire identity around being the best swordsman in Westeros, loses the hand that made him who he is. And suddenly, he's not the powerful knight anymore. He's not the arrogant Lannister. He's just a broken man with nothing left to hide behind. That one moment didn't just change the way other people saw him. It shattered how he saw himself. All the pride, all the armor, all the bullshit, it crumbled. And then came that bath scene, that legendary moment where, for the first time, he killed the Mad King. Not because he was some honorless coward, but because he wanted to save people. The king was going to burn the whole damn city to the ground, was the only one who could stop it. So he did. And the world called him a traitor for it. That's the line that hits like a punch to the gut. By what right does the wolf judge the lion?
By what right does the wolf judge the lion?
That's when you realize this man has been carrying the weight of everyone's judgment for years. And he's sick of it. He's not proud. He's ashamed. He hates who he is. And that's what made it powerful. He wasn't trying to be liked. He just wanted to be understood. That scene changed everything. It turned from a villain into a tragedy. From someone you wanted dead to someone you hoped would make it. That was the moment you started to believe he could be redeemed. It's not flashy. It's not instant. But that's what made it real. His redemption wasn't handed to him. It was earned, step by painful step. After the bathhouse confession, you see a man who's been stripped of everything that gave him power, his hand, his status, his reputation. And somehow, instead of crawling back into the shell of who he used to be, he starts walking a new path. He defends Brienne. Not because he has to, because it's right. The same guy who mocked her for being a woman with a sword now fights bears and insults to keep her safe. He starts making choices that don't benefit him. He risks his neck to help Tyrion escape, knowing it'll destroy what little trust he had left in his father. And when Tywin Lannister ends up with a crossbow bolt in his chest, guess who made it possible? Then comes the North, Winterfell. Jaime shows up alone, surrounded by people who have every reason to want him dead. Bran, Daenerys, Jon, Sansa, everyone. And he doesn't flinch. He doesn't lie. He owns it. He stands in front of that council and says, "I don't regret fighting for my house. But I'm here now because this war is bigger than all that." That's character. That's growth. That's redemption done right. And then, one of the best slow burn relationships in the entire series, Brienne and Jaime. Built on mutual respect, real connection, and years of shared pain. Not lust, not politics, trust. They made each other better. He knighted her. She saw the good in him. He finally let someone love him for the man he was becoming, not the monster he had been. This was a man who had spent his entire life defined by other people's expectations, his father's power, Cersei's manipulation, the realm's judgment. And for once, he was breaking out of it. He was fighting for something real, for the living, for honor, for himself. And then, the writers hit the reset button. This is where it all falls apart. Jaime Lannister, after everything, sleeps with Brienne. A huge moment. A payoff that took seasons to build. Not just romantic, but symbolic. He's finally allowing himself to be loved by someone who sees him for more than his sins. Someone who believes in him. And what happens next? He ditches her. Literally the next morning he gets up, mutters, "I'm hateful too," and rides back to Cersei like none of that shit mattered. Like all that progress, all that pain, all that growth meant nothing. No inner struggle, no slow descent, no battle between past and present, just a switch flip. Poof! He's season 1. What the hell? That "I'm hateful too" line was supposed to be deep. But let's be real, it was empty. A cop-out. Like the writers needed to rush his exit, so they just slapped some fake poetic nonsense on top of it and hoped we'd swallow it. There was no reason for him to go back. Cersei was done. She had crossed every line. She threatened to kill Tyrion, refused to fight the White Walkers, manipulated everyone in sight. And he left her because of it. Because he finally realized who she really was. And yet, he turns around and rides back like a whipped dog. Like none of it happened. And don't give me that "he loved her" excuse. Of course he did. That was the point. Loving her was his curse. The whole damn arc was about him fighting that curse, and he was winning. Until the writers hit Control plus Z on everything they built and shoved him into a half-assed tragic death under a pile of bricks. Seriously, bricks! The Kingslayer, the Oathbreaker, the Lion of Lannister dies, hugging his sister in a collapsing basement. Not on the battlefield, not protecting the innocent, not going out in a blaze of redemption, but crying in Cersei's arms like we're supposed to forget she was a manipulative tyrant. Let's stop pretending it was tragic or complex. It wasn't. It was bullshit. Jaime's arc didn't end in heartbreak. It ended in lazy writing. They didn't take him down with nuance. They deleted him. This wasn't a man consumed by his flaws. This was the writers forgetting everything they built for 7 damn seasons. You can't give a character years of development, years of slow, painful growth, and then just yank it away with a 5-minute relapse and call it poetry. There was no slow unraveling, no tension, no moment of, "Oh no, he's slipping." It was just sleep with Brienne, say one moody line, gallop off to die like a dumbass. If he had struggled, if he had gone back to kill Cersei or stop her, or face her, fine, give us conflict, give us stakes. But that's not what happened. He went back to save her, to die with her, like the past 7 seasons were just a speed bump on his way back to Stockholm Syndrome. And people say it's realistic, yeah? So is getting hit by a bus. Doesn't mean it's good storytelling. You don't set up a redemption arc that deep, that painful, that layered, and then tear it down with no explanation. That's not subversive. That's not clever. That's spitting in the face of everyone who gave a damn about this character. It was about the writers needing him out of the way and taking the fastest, laziest shortcut to get there. They didn't write a fall. They wrote a reset. They hit the undo button and hoped we'd still clap. But we didn't. We watched one of the best characters in the show get flushed down the narrative toilet for the sake of a rushed ending. And we're still mad about it. Because Jaime Lannister's arc mattered, and they trashed it like it was filler. Jaime Lannister didn't need a happy ending, but he sure as hell deserved a meaningful one. He didn't have to ride off into the sunset with Brienne. He didn't have to sit on a throne or get a statue built in his honor. But after all the shit he went through, after clawing his way out of the shadow of his name, his sister, and his own self-hatred, he earned the right to die on his own terms. Imagine it. Jaime stays in the north, fights at Winterfell. He survives the long night, but barely. He's battered, wounded. He rides south, not to save Cersei, but to stop her, one last confrontation with the woman who ruined him. He looks her in the eye, not as her puppet, not as her lover, but as a man finally free. And maybe he dies there. Maybe they both do. But at least it would have meant something, not some off-screen rock slide, not a rushed panic hug under the red cube. That wasn't an ending. That was a goddamn cop-out. Jaime's whole arc was about choice. He chose to fight for the living. He chose to defend Brienne. He chose to walk away from a toxic, destructive love. And then the writers took that choice away. They said, actually, he was always doomed to fall. No, he wasn't. He wasn't doomed. He was fighting. He was winning. And they yanked it all back for the sake of some half-assed tragedy. Jaime Lannister could have died a man indeed. Instead, he died a man erased. And that's the part that hurts the most. Because his story had weight, it had purpose, and they dropped it for shock value and cheap tragedy. He didn't need glory. He didn't need forgiveness. He just needed a story that respected the pain he went through to try and be better. But they threw that away, and fans haven't forgotten, because we were watching a man fight like hell to change, and the show gave up on him before he ever gave up on himself.